This is a prolific hitter. He's one of the best hitters to ever come over from Japan.
I think we expected that he was going to perform well. I mean, obviously we go and we sign the guy and we have high expectations.
He's got an engine he's got gifted power.
メジャー1年目を迎えた村上宗隆選手。日本では史上最年少で三冠王を達成した球界きっての大砲です。その村上選手がポスティングでホワイトソックスへ。契約は2年総額3400万ドル、日本円でおよそ54億円でした。ところが移籍前の評価は決して高くありませんでした。コンタクト率が低い、打球速度が足りない、守備のマイナスを打撃で補えない、スカウトたちは口々にそう囁いていたのです。ところが蓋を開けてみればどうでしょうか。2026年シーズン、村上選手はアーロン・ジャッジ選手と本塁打王を争い、チーム打線の軸として君臨しています。下馬評の低かったホワイトソックスが競争力を保てている、その最大の理由が村上選手だと現地では報じられているほどです。なぜこれほどの活躍が可能なのか、そしてなぜ球界はここまで彼を見誤ったのか、その答えを誰よりも知っているのは彼を間近で見てきた身内の人々でした。村上選手を獲得した GM、 日々率いる監督、打席を磨き上げる打撃コーチ、そして2005年にこのホワイトソックスを世界一へと導いた伝説の正捕手と名将です。現場の最前線から球団の歴史を知る英雄まで、立場も役割も違う身内たちが全く同じ男について語り始めます。全ての始まりは彼をシカゴへ連れてきた人物の証言から。まずはクリス・ゲッツ GM の話です。ではご覧ください。
We earmarked the interest. I didn't think it was going to be realistic that we were going to line up. But with some of the overseas players and the posting windows and the timing of free agency, it just really worked in our favor. Tried to stay close to it, which we try to do with most players in the off season. And Chicago was a place where he wanted to come. When he was weighing everything, and you're looking at the city of Chicago. We haven't had a Japanese player of his status here in a long time. A place that, an opportunity to get in the mix with some young players. His agency represents a handful of players on our club as well, so there's familiarity on their part and help, get Mune up to speed with where we are with things. And what a great chance for the Chicago White Sox to tell their story in other parts of the world.
But how involved has this offseason been to how much time have you devoted to making sure that Mune Murakami has a smooth transition and he's comfortable here and surrounded by guys who understand him and he feels right at home?
Well, I tell you what, I know when he had his press conference, it was very clear he likes being up there. He was very comfortable, fun-loving. The guy loves baseball.
Yeah.
He lives it, and he spent time in California. He wanted to get to the States and train, get ready, get his body right, work on his defensive skills, obviously his offensive skills. Had to go back home. I know he's itching to get back, but so much of the last couple weeks after we signed him, okay, how do we make Mune comfortable here? He's got a supporting group that we're going to be able to have around him. He's got a team of people. We want to make sure from a nutrition standpoint, just living accommodations, the things that City of Chicago also provides.
Some of the things you were seeing in maybe his metrics or his swings that didn't scare you that potentially scared other teams?
Well, the three main objectives, you've got decision making, you've got contact ability, you've got power. We were pretty confident that he hit on two of those areas. Now contact also is probably the most difficult thing to teach and develop. But with that being said, we're talking about a guy that hadn't had the same exposure to velocity. That was a question. All right, contact ability against high velocity. Well, if you're over in Japan and you're assessing just the pitching that they're facing on a regular basis, they're not seeing that type of velocity on top of the training methods. And some of the training methods that we have here and we apply to our guys is, high velocity training, whether it be pitching machines, the traject machine, and also other drills that can help improve some things. There are some mechanical adjustments you can make as well. So when it comes to scouting, you've got to have an imagination. You got to believe in players. You got to believe that players can get better. And when you have a really good work ethic, which he does, high acumen for the game, and determination to want to prove to the league that he can play at a high level, that's a pretty good recipe for success, and we're seeing it happen in front of us.
And Chris, how much did character play into it? Because we've seen his interactions in the locker room, and he seems to really enjoy being here, and the players enjoy playing with him. Was that a big factor in your evaluation?
It was significant. I mean, you start with the skills, you start with the tools, but you got to understand, the player. You got to understand the personality, the makeup. And it was very clear, though, that he mixed in well with teammates. He had a really strong reputation. And we were right on that front because you watch him interact with his teammates, plus the work ethic, how he handles himself on and off the field. He checks all those boxes. So, obviously the production is what, you're going out and you're making that commitment for. But that production is also a higher likelihood of happening if, of course, the makeup is right.
Fans are obviously really excited about Murakami and what he's doing so far, but they know after 2 years, potentially he could be gone. What kind of conversations are you having right now about the future of keeping him in a White Sox uniform?
He's a very talented guy that has, got off to a great start, and, we'll continue to talk about it, and if we have those conversations with his agents, we'll go ahead and do that.
How much is what he does translate to everyone else feels good about what they can do at the plate?
Well, he creates, plenty of action. He does, and the action is either with his bat or when he doesn't swing and he takes walks. So, that level of patience and the threat at the plate, potentially brings more opportunities for other guys that are coming up to the plate with him on base, and just RBI opportunities, things like that. But that patience can have an effect, and when you're in a lineup, when you're a hitter and you're watching someone having success like Mune is having right now, you take note on why he's having success. And not everyone has the power that Mune has, but that patience, that the ability to take pitches that are not strikes or pitches that you cannot do damage with, and that's really something that we stress. But when you have a player that is exemplifying that on a regular basis, that can have influence on others as well and how they take their at-bats.
Why do you think he's been able to do that so quickly? It's just in his DNA?
Well, yes, I do think that he's got some natural ability. He's got an engine that is, he's got gifted power, but it also, it's combined with the work ethic that is, top of the scale. I mean, he's a guy that not only pays attention, but you look at his work on the field, both defensively, his base running, studying, video and how pitchers are going to attack him. His understanding of his own craft is something that he prioritizes. So you've got work ethic and skill, and that's a great recipe for success in this game. As it was reaching the end, I can't speak to all the conversations that they were having. We were staying close to it in the event that it would make sense for us. And, when I talked to Bobby Barrett and Casey Close, his representatives, I said, listen, we definitely want this player. I made that very clear. Now, for us, for it to make sense, this is what it's got to look like. And they love the idea of him coming to Chicago, playing for the White Sox. His representatives have a handful of players from our team. They've got a sense of where this is going and a feel that is advantageous for a young player like Mooney to be added to the lineup and just go out there, be himself, and help us win baseball games.
We see the power. It's extraordinary. We also see, at least statistically, the swing and miss. What can you guys do here in the States, here with the White Sox, that maybe he didn't have that ability to do in Japan?
Well, you look at recent hitters that have come over and their strikeout rates.
it's pretty similar. And we're talking about guys that have had a lot of success here. So now you look underneath the hood a little bit more and some exposure to velocity, certain types of pitches. We've identified that, but we also know that, there's an acclimation to Major League Baseball. There's an acclimation to this, certain types of velocity. We've got training methods. We've got an infrastructure that can help him. He hasn't been provided what we're able to provide him, but we've got a big engine that he's operating with. He's got bat speed. He's got strength. He's shown the ability to hit for a unique amount of power, and now to get him, in our door, under the watch of our coaches, we feel like we can really tap into another level.
スカウトに必要なのは想像力なんです。獲得したゲッツ GM は他球団に足りなかったものをそう言い表しました。天性の才能、たゆまぬ取り組み、そして人間性、数字には現れないその価値を GM だけは早くから見抜いていたのです。ではなぜ球界全体はこれほどの打者を見誤ったのか。2005年にこのホワイトソックスを世界一へ導いた伝説の正捕手 AJ ピアジンスキー氏が現場を知る者の目線でその答えを明かしていきます。ではご覧ください。
On the topic of trying, the White Sox signed Murakami this offseason. And AJ, I think it's fair to say that part of it was the rest of baseball allowing the White Sox to sign him for a rate like that. I don't think they were going to pay massive dollars for him. If we could scrap it all and do it again, things would change. What happened? Why'd the league miss, right? So I was just reading the one from Sam Blum this morning, for example, and he's going off of, the end zone contact rate. The league said was too low, not hitting velocity. And then there's, scouts quoted essentially saying, I don't think his defense is going to be able to make up, or his offense is going to be able to make up for his defensive issues. Some in the league saw him as like a massive liability at first base. Watch him play. Is he the best first baseman in the league? Not close. Is he the worst first baseman in the league? Not close. He looks fine. Average. Good. 40 homers and average defense at first base is worth more than what the White Sox paid for. And to me, the reason I'm bringing this up again, AJ, is I just think it's changed the complexion of the organization. It's sparked things a little more. It's somebody that you can market around and rally around. It's a home run threat. It's who everyone's talking about. And he's not the only one. I know Vargas is playing super well, Montgomery, etc., but he seems to be bringing it all together. You're closer to it. You watch more pitches of them than I do. What do you think?
I think he's brought a different presence. He's brought something that the fans can focus on. I mean, him and Montgomery, and listen, I got to give Miguel Vargas a ton of credit here. Also, the average is down. By the way, he's going to be Rookie of the Year, Murakami. I don't care what Jim Bowden says and Kevin McGonigal or whatever. But if the White Sox stay in this race, and they right now are in this race, if they stay in this race and he gets an OPS of 934 at the end of this year, guess what? He's going to win Rookie of the Year. So I'll be right on that one too. K percentage, who cares? No one cares about Ks anymore. Strike out all you want. Just keep hitting OPS at 934. He shows some of the younger guys how to take at bats. He's just been a good presence. And as far as his defense goes, he's playing first base. And I know Ron Washington said first base is incredibly difficult in that terrible movie Moneyball. It is hard, right? But he was a third baseman in Japan. He's moved over to first and been pretty darn good. So I don't know what the miss was here. I'm not a scout. I didn't see him play before this, but we saw him perform in the WBC in big moments. Remember, he got the big hit a few years ago against US to win that game against some guys who have some pretty good velocity, who are major league pitchers. So I'm very happy that he fell to the White Sox and the White Sox were able to sign him, because he has brought a different presence that the White Sox have needed for a long time.
He's talked about it being a big chip to Kratz. So this article talked about Yoshida and even Seiya Suzuki, who's been a nice player, but he was a superstar. And they're like, oh, it didn't translate to superstar. I'm like, all right, well, he's been a very nice player. I know he's lacking a little, especially with runners in scoring position, by the way. He's 5 for 40, struck out in a big spot this weekend. But in general, he's been a plus player, right? And Yoshida, you can make a different case for. Murakami has this big chip because it's not just about him. He was quoted in the story saying, when I came to the majors, my goal was to change the perspective of NPB players in Japan, like perspective of what people are looking at here on position players over there. And he thinks he's raised the level already with what he's shown in the first quarter of the season. Long way to go. But when he talks like that, to me, it makes it like it's personal and it has to do with his countrymen being disrespected.
Yeah, I mean, Seiya Suzuki, I remember when he came over and we had played against him with Team USA, and I was like, this dude's like, he's legit. He looked the part in the sense of speed, zone discipline, like walking more than he's striking out, all that stuff. And he didn't transition. He didn't transition at all like Murakami has transitioned. And so maybe he does have that, like you said, a little chip on his shoulder. Maybe he has that, okay, well, the reason I didn't hit, Eric Kratz said I can't hit 94 plus. Well, you know what? I didn't see it very often. So when you don't see something very often, how are you going to necessarily catch up to it or make the adjustment for it? And everybody who's like, oh, he strikes out so much. He's got great eye. He's got a great eye. People have stopped talking about Kyle Schwarber striking out too much, and Kyle Schwarber has 4 more strikeouts than Murakami. And I think the part that's cool to see him do this is he's doing it as kind of the linchpin for this team. Is Vargas having a good year? Absolutely. Is Colson Montgomery, is he a problem for teams when he's in the box? So you think about him where he's at in the order, but you can't let Murakami beat you right now, and he's doing it. To have this many home runs this early, very few. There's probably better Japanese or players that have done better in America that have come over from the MPB, but to do it right away is so impressive and way harder than people are really giving it credit for.
Yeah, remember, most people in the offseason were like, oh, there's going to be an adjustment. He's going to have to figure out how to time up major league pitching. Not really.
I said it.
You were one.
I said it. I talked to different scouts of teams that needed a DH, and they all said the same thing. They were like, everybody's going to say, oh, the big hit that he had against Team USA, it was against Merrill Kelly. It wasn't velocity. And it was like, were they nitpicking things? Were they seeing hitting? And AJ was a really good hitter. He didn't have like ridiculous power like Murakami, but hitting in the big leagues is about making an adjustment. Anybody who teaches hitting and goes, okay, well, you got to swing this way every time. Every time you got to swing one way. Well, what happens when they're just attacking you up top? You got to be able to make the adjustment. And for him to have this much success early, he's already gone through 2 or 3 cycles of adjustments from how the league is pitching him. And he's still bashing dingers.
メジャーの打撃は結局は適応力だ。そう語ったピアジンスキー氏は村上選手の順応の速さに舌を巻き、こうも言い切りました。彼は新人王を取る正捕手として頂点を知る男がそこまで断言したのです。その言葉を裏付けるように村上選手は2026年5月8シリーズ連続で初戦に本塁打を放つ史上初の記録を打ち立て、ジャッジ選手との本塁打王争いを演じています。ではその尋常ではない適応力は一体どこから生まれているのでしょうか。その秘密を握るのがチームの打撃コーチライアン・フラー氏です。暴露療法と名付けられた驚きの準備法が明かされます。ではご覧ください。
The biggest offseason moves for the White Sox this year has been getting Munetaka Murakami. First off, what have been some of your impressions of him? Obviously known Japanese slugger back home in Japan. He's got a really explosive bat, hit 56 homers in one season. What have been your impressions so far?
Mune is great. He wants to be great, and he is so open to all the tools, equipment that we have, and obviously this is a prolific hitter. He's one of the best hitters to ever come over from Japan. There is unbelievable power, but also great skills, great contact in there. But unbelievable guy, can't wait to throw problems at him, and we have machines that he's never used before, different bats, different balls, so we want to expose him to as many things as possible and have him problem solve like he does.
What has been, in terms of like the language barrier, because obviously there is a language barrier here, but what has communication been like with him and some of, players that do come from Japan?
Mune has a really good sense of the language already, so when you're talking to him, he is picking up things, but he has Kenzo, his interpreter, with him by his side the whole step of the way. So us making sure that we're giving him information that he's going to be able to apply quickly, but also understand in a really quick manner.
For players that come over from the NPB and obviously are trying to transition here to the MLB, what are some of the biggest challenge for them?
One of the main things is just the quality of pitching they're going to see on a nightly basis. They're seeing great stuff over there. A lot of the Japanese pitchers really rely on splitters, so they see a lot of splitters. But when you come over to America now, it is velocity, 5 different pitch types. So just getting him used to seeing velocity, especially 95 plus on a nightly basis. And luckily we have a traject machine where you put a pitcher, Yamamoto, on the machine. It shows him throwing his actual pitches. So we call it exposure therapy. The more we can expose him to the problems he's going to face in the game, the velocity, the spin, the movement, the better he's going to be at making those adjustments.
暴露療法、実際の試合で出会う球速や変化を事前に体験させてしまう。それが村上選手の即適応を支えていた舞台裏でした。では、その準備を信じて彼を送り出す指揮官は村上選手の何に最も心を動かされたのでしょうか。ウィル・ベナブル監督からフィールドの数字以上に驚いた村上選手のある一面が語られます。ではご覧ください。
Okay, we got to talk about Mune because we always got to talk about Mune with you guys. He's provided the spark on this team, but also for this fan base too. What's impressed you most about how he's adjusted to MLB pitching?
Yeah, it's all been impressive.
Can
Obviously.
you even fully put it into words, like how impressive it's been?
No, because I think we expected that he was going to perform well. I mean, obviously we go and we sign the guy, and we have high expectations. I think it's fair to say he's exceeded those expectations, and just really being a consistent performer from day one, and doing it in a really special way. And so, yeah, as impressive as that's been, for me, what's been most impressive is that really from day one, the way that he's integrated into the clubhouse, the way that he communicates with guys, the way that he's built connections and relationships is really special. He is a big-time contributor to our culture and our clubhouse, and in that way, it's been really impressive too.
As the manager, what is it like to see him hit the home runs, especially here at Wright Field, and the reaction you get from the fan base too?
Well, it's special, and to have a guy like that, and a number of these other guys are playing really well too, and when you have guys that are playing well in front of the fans, it is special, I mean, that's what it's all about. It's all about performing well and getting wins for the fans, and they show up, you want to give them something to root for, and these guys have done a great job of doing that.
Ryan Fuller was telling me in Arizona how I think you guys called it exposure therapy with Mune, kind of like using a machine with different pitches to help him adjust to MLB pitching here. I mean, just from day one, what you guys have been able to help him with, how are you seeing that pay off now in season with him?
Well, he's prepared, he's able to make adjustments pitch to pitch. He's seeing, shapes from these different pitches that he's solving for pregame, and I think that's really important for him as somebody who hasn't seen some of the velocity or some of these shapes, but also for our guys who have been here. That's something that's an important part of how we prepare, is just making sure that, you're spending your time before the game, creating solutions for some of the problems you're going to see on the field.
What have you learned about him as a hitter?
That he's got a lot of power, but yeah, that he's got a ton of adjustability, and I think the most impressive thing for me has been just the plate discipline, and his ability to make these swing decisions has been impressive.
How about the bond with him and some of his teammates here, Colson Montgomery and Miguel Vargas too?
Yeah, I don't know how it happens. He understands a lot more.
He's got a great sense of humor. I'm like, I need to know more.
Yeah, he's got a great sense of humor, and he understands a good amount of English. He doesn't speak a ton of it, but he's able to communicate and build these relationships.
It's really impressive, and obviously the homers speak for themselves. The things that he's doing on the field are amazing. But for me, really, it's the things off the field that he's able to do and the impact he's making in our clubhouse. The teammate he is, his presence in our hitters meetings, just in everything that he does. This guy has changed the culture in a very positive way. So we're lucky to have that internally in the clubhouse. And then obviously the performance on the field has been incredible as well.
本当に素晴らしいのはフィールドの外での姿なんだ。現役監督のベナブル監督が数字以上に心を奪われたのはクラブハウスでの村上選手でした。そのクラブハウスでの姿の本質を誰よりも的確に言い表した男がいます。第2章のピアジンスキー氏を正捕手として擁し、2005年にこのチームを世界一へ導いた 当時の指揮官名将オジー・ギエン氏です。あの大谷選手ですら最初の数年はできなかったと語るあることとは何なのでしょうか。ではご覧ください。
Munetaka Murakami.
Oh God, good. Yes. Something very positive, please.
I know. He's been like a gift in the first 6 games. Yeah, he's just good at bats. Obviously has the power. He's played some pretty good first base too, and he just seems to be like he gets it. Like he's a team baseball player, and I think he's has a chance to be a winning player in the majors.
Chuck, when you come back in the 80s, 90s from Japan to play in the United States, it was a lot of F in the air. He can face the big league pitching staff, can he play in the big league teams, can, you know what I mean, all kind of if. Nowadays, if you look at Japanese league, everybody come, now we can see in the classic more often, those guys ready to play in the big league. They're going to have success, we see, but they're ready to play in the big league. They have a little idea what's a big league look like. They be playing professional baseball for a long time and in a good league. It's not big league. Not that we'll be better on top of big league games, but close to do it. That's why when they come here, I think they have better feeling about the game. And this game is good. This guy is pretty good.
Yeah. He's going to, and it's what's interesting for me is unless he's faced a few of these guys in spring training, which isn't the same thing, every night, every game, every at-bat, certainly for the first couple of months, he's going to be seeing pitchers. Every pitcher he's going to be seeing, for the most part, he's never seen before. And so far, I mean, he goes into that Milwaukee series. There's some good pitchers over there, and he looked really good against them.
But also, Chuck, their pitcher, they never see him either.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's the type of guy, it will strike out. I think it would be more freelancing, swing everything. In last year's game, he went off the first at bat, first pitch, swing the pitch high out of the strike zone. They got behind him. He swing another ball. And then all of a sudden, I said, you know what? I'm not swinging strike. Swing a strike, home run, swing a strike, home run. Play good, hustle it.
Ozzy, I know you made the rounds during the weekend series. You're on the field talking with a lot of people. Just curious, you did have some interactions with Munetaka Murakami, and have you had some good exchanges with him? And how would you describe his overall impact on that clubhouse?
Muney's different, man. Muney's not Japanese. He's like Dominican, Venezuelan. These guys say hi to everyone. Very nice with his teammates. Show people how good he is or how good he can be. It's just like I keep saying this. When you bring a guy from Japan, his culture is a little different than everybody else's culture. They stay with themselves. They're not outgoing guys. They just say hi to you, polite. They not much talking in the clubhouse, not much. And Mooney, did you see like him enjoy the game? Really enjoy the game. Workaholic, and I think everybody in that clubhouse look up to him because good or bad, he's the same guy. I hear I don't know, some of the kids saying yesterday, this guy is 0-4. After the game, go back to the go to the cage, have some swing, then take a shower and leave. Well, players look up to that. And right now, I say he's the leader, by example. He can run the base well, do a lot of great things, and also have fun with the ball club. You don't see that many Japanese do what he does, especially the first year. I don't think anyone. I think Otani is just a little bit funny now for have more fun after 7-8 years in the big league. But this guy did it right away. It's just fun to see guys have fun when they come to another country to play in the big league.
圧倒的なパワー。驚異の適応力、たゆまぬ努力、そしてチーム全体を変える存在感。球団を知り尽くした身内たちが語ったのは、数字だけでは決して見えない村上宗隆という男の本当の凄みでした。そしてその評価をさらに後押しするように、村上選手は今この瞬間も本塁打を量産し続けています。リーグ最多の三振とリーグ最多級の本塁打を同時に積み上げ、申告敬遠で勝負を避けられるほどの脅威となり、優勝争いから遠藤かったはずのホワイトソックスにファンの希望を取り戻させているのです。個人的に最も信じられないのは、役割も世代も違う身内たちが全く違う角度から同じ一つの結論にたどり着いていることです。球界がコンタクト率や打球速度という数字で見誤ったものを、現場の人間は打ち込む背中や楽しむ姿で最初から見抜いていたのかもしれません。 これから村上選手は新人王、本塁打王、そしてその先のタイトルへとどこまで上り詰めていくのでしょうか。しかし熱狂するファンの胸にはもう一つの思いがよぎります。契約はわずか2年。この怪物をホワイトソックスは引き止められるのか。ゲッツ GM は将来についてはこれからも話し合いを続けていくと語っています。そこで最後に皆さんにお聞きしたいことがあります。メジャー1年目の村上選手はこのまま新人王、そして本塁打王まで掴み取ると思いますか。そしてもう一つ、契約が切れる2年後、彼はホワイトソックスに残ると思いますか。それともより大きな舞台へと旅立っていくのでしょうか。皆さんの予想をぜひコメント欄で教えてください。最後までご視聴いただきありがとうございました。この動画が良かったと思っていただけましたら、ぜひ高評価とチャンネル登録をよろしくお願いします。